Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Jordan Falk, aka Chitta Baj, Gora Jat, whatever you want to call me. I just wrapped up my 2018-2019 Bhangra season, and I wanted to take some time to recap on it. I've done 6 comps in 6 months with 2 teams, so there's a lot that I have to talk about, a lot that I have to reflect on, and I figured that making a video would be the best way for me to really kind of express myself, trying to do it live. I jotted down a couple notes here, but most of this is going to be me spitballing. So the purpose of this is really to, talk about the comps that I've done this season, see how I've grown as a dancer, identify opportunities that I still have for improvement, reflect on how my teams did, just so I can really feel like I put a nice bookend on this comp season and start planning for how I'm going to train this summer and my expectations for the next season. So just to clarify, everything that I'm going to say in this video, these are my personal opinions. They're not the opinions of my teammates or my captains or my teams. I'm not speaking for anyone else. I don't speak for my teams. This is just me as an individual. So a lot of teams on Bhangra Teams Forum, on BTF, they make these posts at the end of their season where they do like a season recap. And I think they're always cool and interesting. I like seeing the behind the scenes, like understanding how these other teams think and operate and how they feel about their season. One thing I'd like to see more of are individual statements, individual reflections. I'm still trying to really learn and grow as a dancer. I have so many role models in the circuit, and I've always wondered how they got to the level of dancing that they're at, or how they got to the leadership position that they're at, and it's kind of a mystery. You see them almost in a black box, right? You maybe see a dancer perform a couple times a year at a comp, and each time they just look like they suddenly jumped up in skill level, or they're bringing something totally new in terms of like set design or choreography or as a leader. And I've always wanted to understand like the details, the day-to-day, the behind-the-scenes that goes on there. And I figured, well, if this is what I'm looking to see, why not try and make the content that I would like? Maybe others will follow suit. Maybe others will find what I'm saying interesting. This is mainly just for my personal reflection, but I'm figuring if I share it, others might be able to empathize with it. So coming into the season, I was coming off a huge high, dancing at Bruin Bhangra 2018 with Dunia Derang. That is a magical performance. If you haven't seen it yet, look it up on YouTube. There's nothing quite like it. Like, that set is straight up magic. And I don't know if I'll ever have a set as memorable as that. I'll become better as a dancer. I might place or even win a comp. But I don't know if any performance is ever going to have as special of a place in my heart as that one. So needless to say, my expectations for the next season were mixed, in that I had higher expectations for myself, but I had this lingering feeling in the back of my head that no set I ever do will be quite as good as the one I have had. Obviously, I'm striving for them to be better, but I just didn't think anything could ever top that. MOB was also coming off of a leadership change. We did 2018 Circle City in the spring, and that was Adi's last comp running the team, and he's a very good friend of mine. And so I was a little unsure, and I think the team was too, like how leadership was going to pan out for MOB coming into the fall season. It ended up being a handful of guys taking over in terms of leadership. Sunny was captain, Tharni was captain, Vic was captain, Akash was captain, Harminder was captain, even guest dancers like Umar and Jaskirat stepping in, teaching a lot of stuff, so we had so many guys that were running the show at different times. It often became a little confusing because Adi, everything went through Adi in the past. It was a very, not to say that no one else helped out, but like Adi was the end-all, be-all, final word on everything for MOB. And now MOB is going to be more, a lot of different voices in terms of running it. And I wasn't sure how that was going to pan out. my personal goal going into the fall was to blend in as a dancer. So looking back, like I've just finished watching every single performance I've ever done, like multiple times, coming into making this video so I can really try and evaluate myself accurately. My goal for the fall was to blend in as a dancer. You know, my Circle City and Bruin 2018 performances I'd say they're fine for someone who is really doing Bhangra seriously for the first time. You know, I've danced with Wisconsin School at Bhangra many years ago, but we really had no idea what we were doing. So like starting dancing with MOB and DDR this past season has really been like my first attempt at Bhangra with proper training. And looking back on my Circle City and Bruin 2018 performances, I did okay, like given my level of skill and experience, but I definitely stood out in a bad way. And I wanted to just blend in, be like a solid background dancer. I'm not trying to stand out. I'm not trying to be like top Jody or anything. Not that I could have been if I wanted to be, but like, I don't want to stand out. I just want to work on my fundamentals. So one of the tips that Adi always gave me is like focus on my fundamentals, focus on my posture, my basics before I even worry about Nakra. Like save that until you've already established yourself as having solid fundamentals, and I think that's good advice, and that's what I was trying to do. So Queen City Bhangra, our goal for this set, which is playing right now, was to just make a simple set and execute it well. Because in the past, MOB has consistently gotten critiques that like our set design is really cool, but we don't execute. Every single comp that we go to, great set, poor execution, and we're tired of hearing it. And we're kind of rebuilding and rebranding ourselves a little bit with our change of leadership and stuff. So we thought this first comp of the season would be the perfect opportunity to try out a different style of set. And I'm happy with how it worked. Like our energy was kind of low, formations didn't necessarily hit, but we were pretty solidly clean. I started training pretty hard for this. I was doing like 4 run-throughs a day. My dancing is definitely a step up from what it was at my last comp, which was Bruin in the spring. So that's good. I'm still dancing pretty narrowly, and I'm very stiff, which is a problem that I still have to this day. I think my biggest issue is that I look pretty unconfident on stage, so I'm like maybe looking around to double check my formations. I don't quite have that confidence in my Nakra that really shows like I know exactly what I'm doing. But I think as a team, we were all happy with this performance. It wasn't great, but I don't think we placed at the bottom of the comp. Like we were somewhere in the middle, maybe we were like 4th to 6th place, and that's fine. That's what we expected. We knew that it was going to be a growing opportunity for the team, and it was a growth opportunity for myself. So I didn't really have any moves that stood out. There's no drops that I really want to show off here because I just tried to play it super safe. I'm happy with that. But I think the next comp was Boston, which was maybe only a week or 2 after, maybe 3 weeks. It was just shortly after. And this is a comp that I'm really proud of. So we took the same set from Queen City, took it to Boston, and it was just better in every way. Like there's no reason for me to go back and watch the Queen set at all, because it's the same set here, just everything is better. Energy's better, formations are cleaner, Nakra is better. I love this set. Honestly, this could very well be the best MOB set since ADZ 2017. Maybe our Bruin 2019 performance is better, but as long as I've been on the team, this is definitely the cleanest set we've had. It's just, again, kind of simple. The Chumar, I want to get to that. It was filthy. Where is our Chumar? Right, so we did the same Chumar at Queen City, but I feel like we finally really hit it here. Sunny was on something making this Chumar. It's super saucy. He's our red Jody up front. Just a filthy, super saucy dancer. Just great. Really proud of this Chumar. and it's clean. You know, we had a couple drops as a team that I really liked. I think our Tama was pretty hot. I don't speak Punjabi, but apparently in the lyrics, you know, there's something about like driving a car or something, hence our steering wheel gimmick. Maybe not the coolest gimmick, but, you know, it was something. I had fun with it. I felt pretty good about this. I think I hit my Jugni lower than anyone else. Yeah, I did. You know, so I was pretty proud because, like, I was going home doing stretches, you know, to try and make sure that I could hit Jugni lower than anyone. You know, I was starting to set, like, small goals for myself as an individual. Like, you know, I don't think I can do the set better than anyone or, like, do a segment better than anyone, but I was taking baby steps, you know, like, I'm going to do this move better than anyone, or I'm going to hit Jugni lower than anyone. And it was nice to see, like, me setting smaller goals and accomplishing them. You know, I think I was pretty happy with, like, how I did in Kunde as well. I'm over here off to the side in green. I think I always do decently well in Kunde. Maybe because holding a prop kind of masks the fact that I don't use my Monde enough. You know, just a little bit of knucker there, you know. I'm trying to play it safe, but, you know, just adding a little bit. You know, I'm starting to feel more confident with it. So we ended up getting 4th place at this comp, which was better than I expected. I mean, after seeing our performance, I was like, yeah, this is definitely deserving of being in contention for placing. You know, I think we had a couple mistakes. Like Kunde were dropped in this weird gimmick that we had. Maybe I can go back to it here. I look good in subs too. Where's our Kunde trick? We really wanted to do this trick, and it just didn't really hit. And I think you can see Black Jody drops it. Nice going, Davis. Yeah, so that was kind of whack. That hurt us. Like, if we didn't have, like, a couple of these minor mistakes, we might have been in contention for placing. Not just that, but there were others throughout the set. So, but yeah, 4th place on this. Really happy with it. That was the end of our fall season, and I just couldn't have been prouder or happier with, like, what MOB had done to kind of reestablish itself as a contender and my personal performance. I was really happy with the cleanliness here. Oh, wait. I know Manpreet's going to want to see me do this move. Watch me go back. I basically eat ass here. Oh, my God. Right, I'm trying to get into it a little bit more. Sometimes it looks stupid. But, you know, it's experimenting with dance. How else do you grow if you don't take risks, right? So, next comp that we had... Oh, boy. Buckeye Mela. Yikes. Okay. Gotta switch folders here. This one's Dunya Deran. So, this comp... If you've followed any of my other streams, you'd know that I'm not really happy with this performance, mainly at an individual level. I think I maybe expected more. Like, I truly thought that we were going to place with this set. You know, so this was... I danced with Dunya Derang for a couple reasons. Like, MOB got into the comp as well, but I chose to dance with Dunya Derang for 2 main reasons. One, I wanted to repeat the magic that Dunya Derang had at Bruin 2018. You can kind of see clips of it going on in our intro video here. You know, I thought we could duplicate that magic that we had. And 2, I'm still trying to grow and learn as a dancer. So, like, the more variety I get to experience, the better. The more the different dancers I can dance with on Dunya Derang, they all come from different backgrounds. They each have something unique to offer me. Whereas with MOB, I sometimes feel like I'm stagnated in how I learn because it's, you know, just mainly trying to, like, copy Sunny's style or Harminder style or whatever. So it's just a growth opportunity. So I felt guilty about not dancing with MOB, but, you know, I feel like in many ways, me choosing to dance for DDR over MOB helps me grow more. So future performances I do with MOB will be even better. So I had unfairly high expectations for this comp. So MOB got in, Dunya Derang got in, Wisconsin Surma, my old fusion team that I did for 3 years, got in. I was going to be singing. You can see that going on right now. So really, all my old teams were here. I've already placed at this comp in Fusion. Dunya Derang placed here the year before. They won. They took first. I wasn't even on the team yet, but, you know, everything seemed to be like a perfect storm. I was going to be with all my old teams and with all my friends. I was going to sing, you know. I thought this was going to be like DDR was going to place or win, and it was going to be my crowning achievement, you know, a culmination of everything that I've done in both the Fusion and Bhangra circuits. And it was not that. I worked really, really hard coming into the set, like a shit ton of run-throughs every day. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to make roster for this. So once I did, I felt like I had to put in extra work to kind of, you know, defend my spot and like prove myself worthy of dancing here. So prep wise, I felt really good. I had all the choreo down. I was happy with how I was practicing and dancing at home. But things just kind of fell apart when I left for the comp. So it was like an 8-hour drive to Columbus. I drove overnight. Yana and I drove. Well, I basically drove the whole way. I picked up Yana and Dan in Chicago, but I drove 8 hours. Got there at like 3 or 4 a.m. Slept in some skanky ass, stinky, cigarette smelly hotel room. Barely slept, you know. Like 3 hours of sleep, which, crazily enough, was probably more sleep that I got than any other night while at this comp. So at Bruin Bhangra 2018, DDR had maybe an extra day or two compared to this comp to practice. And while we were practicing, you know, like 10 hours a day there, it never felt super stressful. At least not for me. It was probably stressful for the captains and Rebecca, who had the burden of like actually booking rooms and making sure that everything got done. But for me, it was reasonably low stress at Bruin. This was high stress. The way that DDR operates, for those of you that don't know, is we learn all of our choreography through videos. You know, we're based all around the country dancing for like a bunch of different home teams. And the only way we can practice is just through videos and video critiques. And then we get together a couple of days before the comp and learn all of our formations, which is a lot. It's one thing to like, you know, if you're a guest dancer for another team and you have to be brought up to speed in like formations and you're just filling in one empty spot because everyone else already knows them, that's fine. But trying to teach an entire team their formations for pretty complicated sets and mechanisms, like in just a couple days while cleaning choreo and making sure that like everyone is still having fun, it is a lot. What DDR does is really impressive. And I can't give enough credit to Angela and Ashley, the captains of DDR, for being able to accomplish what they're able to accomplish. Like, making sets this good and dancing this well, given how we practice, is just a testament to how phenomenal they are as leaders and organizers. But here at Mela this year, it felt like we didn't have enough time. Like, we were practicing all day. You know, I think I was getting maybe, 3 or 4 hours of sleep each night, just exhausted. Body broken, shins aching, feet hurting, falling asleep on the floor. I remember we had one practice in like a small studio room. Our goal was to practice in there for like 3 or 4 hours. We all got in there and we laid down on the floor and we all just fell asleep. It was like a 2-hour team nap time. We needed it, but like it's just showing how exhausted we all were. There was barely even time to eat. I feel like I was eating like 500 or 1,000 calories a day. So I was basically, we ate little and slept even less. And I think everyone was affected by it. I'm a pretty big baby when it comes to like not getting my sleep. Like I was not able to focus in practice. We would go over formations, and 5 minutes later, I would have completely forgotten where I'm supposed to go. Like not even remembering like I couldn't even remember the general area of where I was supposed to be. And I started forgetting choreography and moves that I had down. You know, I had all the choreo done, memorized, coming into the comp. Like, I knew the moves. I wasn't messing up in my run-throughs. I was doing so many run-through videos before this. But, like, for some reason, at the comp itself, just messing up. And that happened on stage. Like, I think I had a major mess up in almost every segment except Kunde. Like, Kunde I looked decent in, but just bad stuff. Like, sups going down a beat early when I'm in front. Just straight up forgetting moves and, like, blanking, freezing, like a deer in headlights, a couple other segments. Just definitely my worst personal performance. I felt really guilty about it after. Like, couldn't sleep for a couple weeks after. Just felt absolutely sick. It took me until championships at Bhangra where like we got to redo this set and I kind of got to avenge my performance. It really took until then for me to be able to forgive myself. And as I've thought more about it, you know, I don't feel bad about this anymore. Like, was it a bad performance by me? Yes. But I think given the circumstance and like I've now competed enough that I know that this is a fluke performance for me. It's not my standard to mess up so much choreo. I usually make few mistakes. So I really just think it was, you know, the lack of sleep, the lack of food, the stressful practice times. Again, I'm not blaming the team for that. There was no other way that we could have practiced, right? Like it was, yeah, like, do I wish we could have had more sleep? Yes. But if we got more sleep, we literally wouldn't have had the set done. We literally wouldn't have learned formation. So there was no other way we could have done it unless like we got there a day earlier or something. Which is obviously difficult when people have work and school and stuff. And they can't just hop on whatever flight they want and stop life to practice a Bhangra set. Looking back on this set now, like every time I rewatch it, well, I try not to rewatch it because I hate my performance so much. But like now I've been rewatching it, just looking at the team. It's a good set. I think individuals, maybe not as much as me, but individuals are making a couple mistakes here and there, forgetting moves and stuff. But like energy's pretty good. Nakra is there. It's a good set. I wouldn't like, honestly, I don't think it's really worse than like Bruin set-wise. And I put Bruin on such a pedestal. You know, like we had some interesting things here. Like I thought Fumonia hit pretty well. We had a mechanism in Fumonia that, again, this is a weird camera angle, so it's like hard to see. I think here we had a nice formation mechanism, but I'm not sure how it looked execution-wise from the top. You know, a couple things just didn't quite hit. We looked like we're doing ripples in Chumar. We weren't all doing it the same. I'm rushing it here. Yikes. But like the idea there is cool. Angela really likes doing some throwbacks to like older segments. Not older segments, but like older styles of dance that aren't necessarily used as much anymore. So like we still like doing a Kato segment. Here we go. This was hype. Like Ace was doing a solo up here with Karan Ardoli. What a sick dancer he is. My goodness. You want to know how to do an end segment? Well, I mean, you can learn so much from Ace, but like if you want to know how you end a set with energy, watch Ace. Yeah, like this Kato segment, this was cool. I liked it. So Angela had plans on making, you know, like the Kato's supposed to be a squirrel. And so like Judy kind of pops out here. She's killing it. Great Nakra always. You know, she pops out. I don't know. It's just like a playful, cool segment. I really liked it. I lost my string, so I didn't do it well, but it was hype. The mall here is also hype, but I'll show that in championships because I think we did it better there. The most interesting thing that we did for this set was a Summi segment. So Summi is a Punjabi dance that's traditionally done by women. We have some LGBTQ members on our team, and we thought that this would be a really cool opportunity to kind of showcase those dancers here and just show that like we're a team that really focuses on being inclusive. So we wanted to try something different here. I don't know if everyone really got what we were going for with this. I think our intro video like says that some of us really dance to like express our identities. But I don't know if all the judges, aside from Varun, really made the connection to what we're going for in this segment. I think this second half of Summi really hit well. I think it looks good. But the first half of Summi might have gotten boring for some people. Or just confused them. I just don't think they really knew like how to interpret it. So, you know, watching this again and being like, you know, I don't think this set is really any worse than Bruin's. I'm often wondering like why did it not hit as hard? Like, do I just feel guilty about like my personal performance, so it's hard for me to evaluate it? Like why do we not have as fond of memories of this as Bruin? And I think something that's understated about it is it all looks kind of muted. Like our Vardia colors, I'm colorblind, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But you know, we've got blue, purple, red, black on a black stage with a black background. It's hard to see our black dancers. Not Dan, like the black Vardia dancers. They don't stand out, which is a shame because they're some of our best dancers. I mean, everyone's pretty good. But like even our Toli, you can't even see Karan. Like, look at this. You know? And maybe it's just me being colorblind, but like, I don't know. We don't seem to pop off. It would have been nice if we could have had like some yellow or Ferozi or something. DDR is always at the mercy of being able to get whatever Vardia we can find from another team because we don't own our own. But I just think this is like a small subtle thing that maybe makes us look a little less vibrant than we normally do, or like we did at Bruin. And the other thing that I think is a little understated is I'm not the biggest fan of the mix, or like at least the song choice in it. Now it's done well, but I don't find myself coming back to this mix like listening to any of these songs. You know, I get really nostalgic for the Bruin 2018 mix, and even the Mela 2018 mix, or sorry, Mela 2018 mix. I didn't even dance at Mela then, but like, you know, the intro song Ramal, it's so memorable, and I hear that, I immediately think of that performance. I just get fond memories. There isn't really a song in this set that like makes me think fondly about the set, that brings me back to it, you know. Summi is pretty memorable, but I think that's more so it's just being unique than me actually really liking the song. I'm not a DJ, so like I'm not here to critique song choices or anything, but I think the Vardia and the mix really kind of made this not pop and be quite as memorable as the old performances. All right, next performance. We've got Nosh the Cleveland. This was a weird dance experience for me. I was coming off of this Mela performance, which I was not too proud of on a personal level. And I just wanted a chance to kind of like redeem myself a bit, have some fun with the set. And that's what Nosh the Cleveland was. So one of our captains, Akash Menon, was judging this comp. He helped found this comp. He was always hyping it up and saying like it's a very dance-friendly or dancer-friendly comp. And it was. It ended up being one of the best run comps I've ever been to. You know, it's not nearly as big of a stage, not as hype as like Bruin or Berg or Buckeye or Boston, but I would go back to this comp in a heartbeat. So much fun here. I was actually in China for like 2 weeks before this comp, so I missed out on a lot of the choreo and all the formations, a lot of the practices, and I basically had to learn everything. I basically learned the whole set on my drive. It was like a 7-hour drive to Columbus. Yeah, I was a bad driver. put my phone up on the dashboard and was just playing the practice videos that the team had filmed the week before and was just trying to learn choreo that way during the drive. Yeah. I ended up getting a speeding ticket and a flat tire on the drive while I was going alone, so that was a huge pain in the ass. Made it stressful, but I kept trying to have a positive mindset the whole way because I just wanted to have fun with this set. So this comp rubric was weird. It was something like 40% execution, 60% set design or creativity or something. Like, just really whack. So MOB was basically like, let's throw everything to the wind. It's just a fuck it set. You know, we're just going to be as weird with it, have as much fun with it as possible. Because, like, how we execute shouldn't even matter. You know, like, let's just rip it, have fun, have some weird-ass segments. Have fun with it. That was really the goal. That was my personal goal, too. Just have as much fun with the set as possible. Worry less. Don't stress about, like, execution or perfect form. Just have fun with it. See how it looks. See what happens. And I liked it. You know, it was definitely not clean and not standardized. But hey, it's whatever. Did we have fun? Yeah. Was it sloppy as hell? Yes. Did we place? Definitely not. I don't think we were even in contention. The judges said, like, hey, like, you know, cleanliness execution is only 40% of the rubric, but like all your creative ideas and stuff, like choreo, you know, your fun, it doesn't really count as being creative, like, if you're not executing it well. You know, like, set design, choreography doesn't matter if you're not at least doing it somewhat in sync. So I can see where they're coming from. So we definitely weren't in contention here. The fun thing about this comp is we got Sagar and Umar from First Class Bhangra dance for us. These guys are super awesome dancers, awesome leaders, and just really fun people. I remember being really nervous and intimidated. I was trying to be really serious at practices so as not to embarrass myself in front of them. But I ended up being cool friends with these guys, so, like, now I don't have to stress around them. But I was definitely, you know, I'm like, guys, we have to show up to practice on time. Like, we have to focus because I don't want to embarrass ourselves in front of Sagar and Umar. We also got a bunch of Spartan guys to dance with us. Maybe a couple Northwestern guys. I can't remember. You know, so pretty varied backgrounds here, as you can see in our dance styles. But we all just had fun with it. Sagar did a segment or two of choreo. Umar did a segment or two. I think Umar did our Jugni segment. Sagar did our The Mall. I think they both probably reworked a solid amount of the other stuff that we did. Personally, I felt pretty happy with how I danced here. There were a couple times, you know, where I maybe had too much fun. Like, you can see me in green here. In Jenseg. Like, we do a makni and, like, this running tapi move. That's kind of hype. But I maybe get a little too much into it. Here we go. Okay, but, like, energy's good. I'm having fun, even if I look sloppy. You know, and that's, again, it's about setting goals and trying to accomplish them. And my goal was, like, have good energy, have fun with the set, and I did that. So I'm pretty satisfied with it. I think I felt pretty good about my Kunda segment. Let's see. Where is that? Here we go. Again, another solid Kunda segment. Probably my best segment. I'm getting a little wide on my fasla. Decent nakra. We had this interesting thing where, like, we set our kunde down, do a little bit of a freehand segment, and then pick our kunde up again. I really liked this. Yeah, I'm rushing my moves a bit, not filling them out. This shimmy coming up, this is Sagar's idea. Super hot. So much of this set was literally just, like, Sagar, Umar, Sunny in practice being like, what if we just did this? Like, why not? Fuck it. I liked how I danced in the mall. I think I was really feeling myself in this the mall segment. I got good front time in it. And I started getting more confident in myself as a dancer. Like, I was telling myself that I could do this Tamal segment better than anyone else. Whether or not that's true, well, I'll leave that up to you. But just having that mentality that I could do a whole segment, not just like a single move better than anyone else, is an important step for my growth. Okay, this was whack. This formation, definitely weird. I'm spinning around it endlessly for like 30 counts. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah, I'm into this here. But yeah, I felt like I took an important step forward just in terms of having fun. Trying to sell drops a little bit more. So I'm happy with this. Next comp is Championships of Bhangra. Here we go. This is going back to Dunia Derang. So, Championships of Bhangra, first of all, huge shout out to Kuntal for giving us the opportunity to perform here. Even though we're just an exhibition act, I mean that's what we wanted to be, right? Like, DDR was so stressed at Mela, like we didn't really get the chance to enjoy each other's company. Like, all we do is practice and then sleep for a couple hours and practice some more. Like, we don't really get to talk and just hang out. So there's a lot of people on the team personally that I didn't even really know that well. Like, some guys or girls I hadn't even really had a conversation with about anything other than Bhangra. So I thought this was a cool opportunity for the team to like just get together, have basically a family vacation where we could chill, relax, make good food, eat and sleep for once, and then still dance and have some fun with it without any of the comp stress. The comp was incredibly well run. Kuntal was insanely accommodating, always having a hand in like making sure that everything we needed just as an exhibition team was taken care of. You know, he did all the lighting cues himself in the middle of the show too. Like, I cannot commend this comp enough. If you're ever wondering like whether you should go to Blowout or Championships in the future, get your ass to Championships at Bhangra. This shit is, you'll never go to a better run comp, ever. The stage is a little interesting, you know, so we performed in like this big arena. The stage was built on the ground as just like this wooden tiling. Not the best stage to dance on. At first I hated it, you know, like there's no side stage, like they just put up these little curtains on the side. You probably won't be able to see them in this video, but you know, it's not, you're not getting like your Bruin or Berg amazing stage experience, you know? So it almost felt like a small like local Mela, but that feeling kind of grew on me because the stage is on the ground and like the seating is so up close to the front. I could go sit up front and watch other teams perform, and I'm literally like 3 feet away from some people, you know, like their sweat is flicking off onto me. Like, there's a lot of eye contact. They're making a lot of nakra with you. It just felt very personal. Like, this felt like it was a comp run by dancers for the dancers. So it felt more so like I was performing to the other teams that were in the audience than the crowd. So I'm not sure if it was the vibe that I would normally associate with a comp that calls itself the Championships. You know, Bruin still feels more like the end-all be-all Bhangra comp just because there's so much grandeur about that venue. But this was really cool. Here, it's in broad daylight and there's like so many windows in this venue, it almost looks like we're performing outside. But I will say, once the sun set, for some of the later performances, like if you watch any of the other teams that went in the second half, maybe First Class Bhangra or Furtile, it got dark and the lighting was like the best lighting that I've ever seen at a Bhangra comp. Just can't speak highly enough about it. But anyways, back to this. So this comp was really important for me because I truly thought after my shit performance at Mela, that Mela was going to be the last performance I ever had with DDR. So I walked into this like thinking, thank God I have a second chance at this set. You know, I liked the set, I just hated my dancing and I hated the stress of Mela. So like, it meant a lot that I could be here. Yeah, I just was kind of out for revenge. Like, Angela was like, look, this isn't about revenge, it's just about joy. And it was about that. Like, I was enjoying it, but I was definitely out for revenge. because my Mela performance was so bad, I felt that like I was really at risk of losing a roster spot on DDR for all future comps. And this performance in my head was my tryout video for any future DDR performances. So I took it really seriously. This is the hardest I've ever trained for a comp, even though it was exhibitions. Like I was doing 4 or 5 run-throughs every day. I was doing 2-hour segment runs daily, like recording myself just segment by segment, watching the video, throwing the video out, re-recording it, submitting it. I had over 300 minutes of unused segment videos that like I would film, not be satisfied with it, toss it out. Like my phone trash folder was completely filled. But I was feeling really good going into it. Like I was working a lot. You know, I got a lot of help from Ashley, Brian, Angela, and Judy in terms of like critiquing. They all took the time to like do video calls and whatnot with me to make sure that I was focusing on what I needed to focus on to get my dancing up to speed. And I think it paid off. This is probably the best that I've danced. Maybe I danced better at Bruin 2019, my latest comp with MOB. I think I hit some of my drops at Bruin better. But like overall, this is far more consistent dancing. Like my mode they are better. My extension is far better here. I think I'm dancing wider. I had a shit ton of fun with this too. It's just a really good set. Like, we probably danced better than some of the teams there. I'm really happy with my Kunda segment. Again, it's me. Kunda segment is always my best segment. I'm just really happy with how I danced. Yeah, coming from the Mela performance, which was addled with mistakes for me. I think I only had like 1 mistake. Maybe 2 mistakes. Pretty minor ones too. Like nothing as drastic as me going down off beat. Yeah. I think we do this cool like clapping move. This like clap step forward move coming up. I think I like stuttered or did something weird on it. Yeah, I just paused, forgot. You know, like if that's my biggest mistake, it's a good performance for me. So I couldn't have been happy with how I performed here. Like I did everything I needed to do to be ready, and I think I performed as well as I could have. So I'm just super satisfied with it. Oh, wait. Where's our Jummer? Right. Shout out to Ace and I doing a high five in our Jummer. Right, this was the mentality that we had for this comp. We're just exhibition, let's have fun. Here we sneak this in. Here we go. Bam. Nice. Made us late, but that's okay. Worth it. This Tamal hit. Like, it was decent at Mela, but I don't think it was fully realized. Like, it wasn't as good as it could have been. I think here we finally did it as good as we could have. Maybe hit the Sial quickly coming up. So hot. I just want to shout out the guy in yellow, Bashir, and guy in purple, I think that's purple, Sai. We took 2 brown guys. DDR finally opened itself up to Desi dancers. You know, it's been traditionally an all non-Desi team, and we just felt like, hey, we're all about inclusion, so like we shouldn't be excluding Desi dancers. And I just want to give a huge shout out to these guys for being amazing people, incredible dancers that just killed it. They're filthy dancers. First comp with DDR, and they're doing it better than basically all of us. Last comp. Big one. Bruin Bhangra 2019. So MOB got off the wait list for Bruin Bhangra. We didn't make it in initially. We got off the wait list. I know like the captains had to write like an essay basically explaining like why we deserve to be at Bruin versus other teams that were trying to get off the wait list. I found out that we got accepted when my plane landed in China. Like, as soon as I turned off airplane mode or whatever, I got Wi-Fi. We landed, and I found out we got into Bruin. That was the fucking best way to start my trip in China. You know, I was disappointed that we weren't going. I wasn't as heartbroken as some of the teammates. Like, obviously, I wanted to go to Bruin, but I had been there before and had an amazing set with DDR. Like, I felt like I had done what I needed to do at Bruin. But getting in, oh, man, I was hyped. So, you know, MOB has never really done too many, like, themey things. It hasn't been super gimmicky. Like I said earlier, the emphasis in the start of the season, like in the fall, was to make simple sets with good execution. And that's really not what Bruin is about. So we tried to think of like different themes, and the one that we settled on was Game of Thrones. We thought, you know, it's pretty timely because like the end of Game of Thrones is wrapping up right around Bruin time. All of us were big fans of it. We thought that there were a lot of opportunities. You know, it would be easy to incorporate Game of Thrones ideas into a dance set, you know, like Dothraki riders or like Unsullied Spearmen. I don't know, like you could do something with Kunde and spears, and you know, we could get like a dragon or maybe build a castle or like build a throne. You know, there were just a lot of ideas that were kind of buzzing around in our heads. Now, I didn't dance at Bruin with MOB in 2017. That was their last time there. And that was the last comp that MOB did, or the last performance that MOB did, I think, before I joined the team for Circle in 2018. So the team took like a year off after Bruin 2017. Why? Well, if you've seen the Bruin 2017 performance, it's a bit of a train wreck. Like, it had MOB recruited a bunch of really good dancers from different teams. You know, like Arun was there. I feel like G-Sims danced. Garun Bands was dancing. Like, all these fucking filthy dancers. But we're all from different teams, and they only got together for practice, I think, like, the weekend of or the weekend before, you know? So it just wasn't standardized. Everyone was dancing really differently. It wasn't a realized set. The sup segment at the end of it is one of the worst segments I've ever seen in my life, you know? So MOB was really trying hard to not repeat that embarrassing 2017 performance. I'm not gonna lie, I was worried. I thought that we were gonna have the same issues because we did take like 10 guest dancers from a bunch of different teams. I think we took them from like Fertile, RVD, FCB, Illini, SPD, Northwestern, maybe, I don't know. You know, like, we've got a lot of different teams coming together into this. But, Michigan Bhangra team too. But the difference this comp was, I think we got together like 2 or 3 weekends of practice before the comp. So while we're still having some issues with standardization and cleanliness, it's not set ruining like it was for Bruin 2017. I'm pretty happy with how standardized we looked given the situation. Yeah. A lot of dancers had a hand in the set design. So, like, Harminder did a lot of the bass choreo. Sunny did... I don't know. I guess I don't know how, like, Harminder and Sunny divvied up the bass choreo, but I know Sunny does all the saucy choreo. The Chumar is all him. I think Kunde is all him, too. Juskirat did our choreo for Sups and Jenseg. Prince from RVD was Juskirat's from Illini, by the way, Illini captain. Prince is RVD dancer, filthy dancer, great guy. He was tweaking a bunch of moves that just didn't seem to fit right. You know, Umar and Ratul were running some practices while like Sunny and Harminder were trying to flesh out some choreo. Everyone had a hand in like building props. I think it gave a lot of people a sense of ownership over a set that they don't normally feel, especially like guest dancers, you know, like. And when there's that ownership that you feel, everyone takes it a little bit more seriously. I know Juskirat and Prince, they're both in Ferozi here. If you watch the set, they're filthy. You know, they both said that it was their best personal performance. It might be my best personal performance too. You know, like it's really great to hear guest dancers say that it's their best personal performance, because I think it's difficult to like care as much or put as much heart into a performance when it's not really your home team, you know? So I've got a lot of respect for these guys that came out and put their heart into it. And that just goes to show, like, we were all one team, one mind for this comp. My personal goal for the comp, was to really just focus on dancing and like try and learn from some of these guest dancers, like Just Kirit, Karan Bands, the RVD guys in particular. Like, they're phenomenal dancers, and they all do something a little bit different. You know, they all have an Umar too. Like, they all have something like I can learn from. Again, I'm just focusing on personal growth here, and that's what I wanted to take away from this comp. Like, feel like I learned something from each of these dancers and gave my best performance. And I did learn a decent amount from them, but I think at Bruin itself, I didn't get to focus as much on dancing as I would have liked to. Well, okay, not as, I don't mean as I would have liked to, but as much as I had planned for. So at Bruin, a lot of logistical stuff ended up kind of falling onto me. You know, there was a lot of like housing situations that I had to try and sort out, some financial stuff that I had to sort out, buying props, buying groceries, delegating like prop building responsibilities, making sure that like our wall gets built, that the throne that we use in Kunde gets built, trying to work on like the Night King gimmick. You know, I ended up having a lot more responsibility than I expected, which is fine. I'm totally fine taking on more responsibility. I like taking on more responsibility. It just, I hadn't planned on doing that going into the comp, so it kind of threw me off my game plan a little bit. You know, I thought I could just do like mental runs or like ask Garan for like tips all weekend, but I had to focus less on like my personal dancing and just making sure that like our set was ready. As for the set itself, you know, we had a couple gimmick ideas. I don't think they hit as well as I wanted them to. You know, they just weren't really fleshed out. So like, we wanted to build the giant wall from Game of Thrones. You can see it in the background. We kind of came out from it at the start of the set. Didn't do much else with it. Like, the Night King came out from it, but we could have done more with it. You know, but they're just, I don't think the team as a whole was placing as much emphasis on like gimmicks and props as I would have liked. I think they're more important than the team often thinks they are, especially at a comp like Bruin. But I don't know, we weren't all on the same page in terms of what we wanted, and like, people weren't really coming up with ideas. So I felt like I was kind of stuck building stuff and making stuff that like I knew was somewhat half-assed, but I didn't necessarily have better ideas, and I wasn't getting better ideas from anyone else, you know? So it was kind of like, all right, well, here's what I have to build. Like, if no one's going to tell me to make anything better or give me a better idea, we're just going to go with it. So it was a little frustrating. But again, like, we had our hands full with just trying to like dance. And also, you know, with so many guest dancers, I feel like any of the set design stuff like that they help us with, that's just a bonus. Like, I don't expect anything from the guest dancers other than for them to just show up and dance well. And they did exactly that. You know, some of them, like Umar, Jaskirat, Prince, were doing a bit more in terms of like running practice, doing choreo and stuff, and building props. So like, they exceeded what they needed to do. The issue is that like, with only, you know, 6 local dancers, those, you know, we're the ones that really have ownership and final responsibility over the set. There were just fewer of us to really make sure that like, is the set going to be having everything that we want in it? Are we going to have enough props? Like, I know we wanted to get a dragon. We couldn't really find a dragon. You know, we asked our liaison, who was pretty useless, to try and find a dragon for us. He couldn't find one. And like, the 6 of us that were local, like hometown dancers, you know, we didn't have the time while we were there to like go looking for a dragon, like do other shit. So it's whatever. Yeah, like, I think the judges said that some of our gimmicks and props were a letdown, like the wall. Like, it's big, right? We thought about using a sheet of paper, you know, or like a curtain, But the thought was like the judges from the balcony would be able to see that it's just a two-dimensional curtain or a sheet, and it would be less imposing. You know, so we wanted to build like a physical wall out of cardboard boxes. We painted all of them, taped them all together. All the work that we spent on the boxes was probably like 10 hours. 10 hours of work to make this wall, and we just really didn't do enough with it. You know, so like the judges say, it's big and imposing. They expected something big from it, and honestly, having it might have hurt us more than not having it at all, because something that looks that big, you have high expectations for it, and when they fall short, it's a letdown. Same with like the throne. So we've got a throne that we pull out in our Kunde segment. We drew our Kunde from it, and then we just take the throne off stage. You know, we wanted to incorporate the throne a little bit more, have it break or like maybe burn down or melt down or something at the end. Spoiler alert for those of you that don't watch the show. But, you know, it just wasn't fully realized. You know, we didn't get enough out of it. Here we have the Night King come out from behind the wall. We're supposed to all, like, faint down and make this spiral formation out of our bodies, which is, like, the Night King's, like, logo, I guess. For those of you that don't watch the show, the Night King is, like, basically this zombie overlord that can turn dead bodies into zombies that, like, fight for him or do his bidding. So the purpose of this is, like, we're doing our Kunde segment. We kind of collapse. You know, I wanted us to be, like, dead, but we're obviously not going to get down on the ground and lay in the middle of a segment. So Night King comes out. I wish he would have worn, like, a black kurta or something. Him wearing our mob sweatshirt just looks dumb. He's got the mask on, but here we got resurrected. You know, now it's like we come back to life. Umar comes through. He kills the Night King. Blah. Now he pushes him off stage, runs him into Tharni, our black Jodi. Flustered him up a bit. That didn't look good. But Justkarn is a large dude, so, like, Umar couldn't see Tharni or anyone behind him. But, you know, just a couple of mistakes, mishaps that were kind of outside of our control for this performance that set us back. So Simi, she's the green girl here. Filthy dancer, but you can see she just ran back on stage. She had been going, like, in and out of stage because her bug was falling off. She handled it as well as anyone could have. Like, bugs coming off, she was going off stage to, like, have it adjusted, maybe see if she should take it off. Dancing with it. I think she ends up going off stage after this next segment to just take it off because it was totally unraveled. But she is an amazing heads-up dancer. She's a girl. This is her first time wearing a bug. Here she, like, has to, like, take it off. Now she dips off stage. You know. Again, she handled it better than, like, she handled it absolutely perfectly. And she'll come out in our finale too, and you can hear the crowd get super hyped when she comes back on because she is filthy in this finale. I felt so bad that, like, it was coming off, you know, because we didn't really go over, like, rules of, like, what you're supposed to do when your bug comes off, but she just knew. She already knew what she needed to do and handled it perfectly. But again, you know, something like that, it's just another little mishap that, like, is out of our control. Here she comes. Look at this girl. Look at her. Oh my God. Hear the crowd. Rips it. Just filthy. Lighting cues were off too. Again, that's something outside of our control. Like, there were so many parts in our set that were supposed to have blackout lights and they just didn't happen. Really frustrating, but it is what it is. So, like, in terms of what's in our control, I think we did pretty well with it. Like, again, I think the set, if we just had maybe like 30% more cleanliness and maybe one more big gimmick or fleshed out the ones that we already have, like if we just had like a dragon, a physical dragon prop in the finale, and we're a little bit more clean and didn't have like lighting issues or like bug issues or running into each other in the Night King gimmick that were outside of our control, I think this could have been maybe a contender for placing. But as it stood, we weren't really in consideration. I think our sup segment looked really good. Like this intro, this is a sup intro that Adi developed for 2018 Circle City. We reused it here, and then the rest of the sup choreo is all Just Garrett. And I think this might be Might be our best segment, which is weird because like we didn't really practice with subs a lot. So for this to look good, it's just a very pleasant surprise. I felt like I did pretty well here. I didn't fully kick out on that. But I was trying to chill a little bit because I wanted to hit this. I hit that jump. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure my front time was good. Something that Bashir does from DDR, you saw him in our championships performances, like he's always spotting his spins. So like anytime he does a spin or a turn, he'll kind of keep his head looking at the audience, and then he'll like whip it around at the last minute to catch up with his body, and I think it looks really nice, and I was trying to do that a lot here. So I did it in that sup spin. I come out with decent energy here in Gen Seg, but then as soon as I move back, I start chilling hard. I think I needed to do a couple more full out formation run-throughs to really get a better idea of like where I need to chill and where I don't, because I think I chilled a little bit too hard here. I always do this move wrong. Like I don't, something about my left arm, I circle it wrong. We had the wild idea of doing Old Town Road with Dothraki in the background, because like the Dothraki are like horse riders from Game of Thrones, and you know, Old Town Road starts off with like, I got the horses in the back, so we thought it would be a pretty funny drop. This is maybe one of the proudest segments that I've hit. I felt like I really did this well. As a team, it didn't hit as well as I would have liked to. If you watch it again, like the footwork is really weird. Like we kind of switch back and forth and like left foot and right foot. It's not just left, right the whole time. And I think some people are messing it up. We just didn't emphasize it enough. It's supposed to be like a heel toe or like a heel step there. We didn't really have that. Just here, Jugni is so disgustingly low. Oh my god. But even though like, you know, I was up front with next to him, I felt like I sold it well. So I'm really happy with that. This Fumonia segment, I chilled way too hard on. I'm not happy with this. Yeah, let's just not watch that. So here we do our Chumar again. Again, it's the same Chumar, like same base Chumar that we've been doing this entire season, starting with Queen in the fall. I fell kind of squatting down there. And I didn't really want to like shift, like I almost went down on my one knee. And I figured just trying to like hold it would look better than adjusting it. It was kind of whack. But I think once I recovered and started doing the main choreo, I think I did all right. Maybe I'm rushing my moves slightly. It's hard to tell. Like so much of this is Nakara, and the video is a little blurry. It's not the GTV video yet. So when that comes out, I'll really be able to evaluate how I did. But like Sunny everyone up front is just killing it. This looks great. That freeze, love it. Good. So here we bring out the throne. We've got our Kunde in the back. I chilled at like the start of the Kunde segment, because I've got front time in like the second part of Kunde. So any time that like I'm in the back before front time, I was chilling, maybe a little bit too hard. Something I need to work on. We brought back the shimmy from Nosh the Cleveland. It didn't fit as well here. I still liked it. The judges hated it. But I had fun with it. I felt like I had good energy here. This whole Night King gimmick was my idea. I really pushed for it. One, I thought it would give us like a nice break, you know, a chance to catch our breath. And it just seems like such a cool, simple, obvious idea for like Game of Thrones. Like Night King is basically the main villain of the show. And like his big thing is he resurrects people. So how could we not incorporate that? Originally, I wanted to do a second finale. So I wanted us to finish the set. All of us like collapse down, and then the Night King comes out, resurrects us, and we do like an encore second finale, which might have hit even better, but it just didn't really fit with how we wanted to end. So this was a probably the next best place to do it. And it was in the middle of the set, so we had to breathe a little bit. Formations in the second half of the set, like starting with Kunde, just didn't really hit. We started to look sloppier. Like, we're all close and clumped, but like we didn't really hit the formation. And now when we're in a clump, I think it's more apparent that we aren't very standardized. Like, first half of this set is definitely the best MOB has danced in 2 years. The set overall still might be the best MOB set in the last 2 years. The only one that could be better is Bruin, or not Bruin, Boston 2018 in the fall that I showed earlier. This is obviously a lot more creative and challenging and more fun, more hype, but Boston's a lot cleaner, so I guess it just depends on how much of you value cleanliness. I went in on this clap. I rushed my muckney, but because I was too excited for the next move, this one. I looked left. Simi was yelling at me like all of practice. I was supposed to look at her there. She's in this gap up front. I'm supposed to look at her. I finally looked left, and she was out like getting her bug fixed. So it was a sad moment when I didn't see her there. Again, a lot of these formations, like this ending formation, just didn't hit. I don't know if it was a bad formation or like just poor execution on our part, but it looked kind of whack. And I was always rushed getting into it that I could never like fill out or fully energetically do my moves, so that frustrated me. I think my energy is pretty solid for finale here, like starting with the Shisha. But don't watch me, just watch Simi, because she's filthy. So overall, like, I think we worked in the right direction for this set. We had the right idea, just needed to do a little bit more with it, and I'm happy with that. Definitely happy with it. I'm proud of what we did. So, like, end of the season, you know, how do I really feel about all of it? Team-wise, I'm really happy with what MOB accomplished. I think we did exactly what we set out to do. And that is start off with simple choreography sets, execute them well, and then try and increase the difficulty a little bit and make things a little bit more fun. And we did that. We didn't place, so that's a bummer, but we definitely took a step forward. As for DDR, it's bittersweet. I have mixed feelings about it. Like, I had higher expectations for Mela, and I personally just didn't execute, so I felt like I really held the set back. But even like my mistakes or other people's mistakes aside, I don't know. It was a good set, but I don't know if it would have placed. I don't know. I shouldn't have set my expectations so high. You know, like I had it in my head that like we were definitely gonna place. Like everything was just coming together in my head. So I shouldn't get ahead of myself. But then we ended with championships as an exhibition team, and I couldn't have been happier with how that performance in that weekend went. So, was it as big of like a high as Bruin was 2018 with DDR? No. I don't know if any set ever will be. I don't know if it's fair to compare to that. But like after championships, I'm satisfied and happy with the DDR season. Personally, I'm good. I'm happy. Like, I got better each comp, aside from Mela. I was a better dancer each comp. I worked harder for each comp, and I can see improvement. Like, maybe I danced better at championships than Bruin. So, like, if Bruin wasn't my best performance, I think it had better highlights. Like, coming up here, Old Town Road, probably one of the best segments I've done. You know, and that's saying something, because like I know if I'm trying to play it safe, I can always dance like I did at championships. So now I'm just really gonna try and take this next summer to elevate my dancing. Like during comp season, I'm not improving as much as I would on my own. You know, like so much of practice time is just spent learning choreo, learning formations. You know, it's not really like developing myself as a dancer. So now my big question, and I'm probably going to be reaching out to a lot of you viewers, if any of you end up sticking through my rambling this long, I'll probably reach out to some of you guys for like critiques and feedback and stuff on what I can do, how I can practice. Because again, I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm not in Chicago. I'm on my own here. So all my practicing is just me getting into dance studio, putting on some music, trying to mimic like Jessica and Sani or something, you know, or Jagmeet Sani, sorry, you know, or Prab Sani, just trying to mimic them on like their basics. Like I really just want to drill like my fundamentals and stuff this summer, but you know, not having other teammates in person or coaches in person that I can use makes it difficult. So I don't know. I've got a couple ideas on like how I can best train alone, but I'll probably be reaching out to people for help. Or if you have any ideas on how to train alone, hit me up. I'm definitely gonna go back to the gym because I lost a lot of muscle throughout the season because I normally take off while I'm competing because I don't want to be sore. So I definitely need to build my strength up again. And I'm gonna be swimming a lot more. So I swam all throughout all throughout high school. Well, my whole life I was a competitive swimmer. And I think that'll help me get my stamina up more. Like my stamina was fine. I felt energy was fine, but I don't want to have any segments that I'm chilling in. And I often feel like when I'm doing run-throughs, like 3 or 4 run-throughs a day, I could do more, but it's often like my shin splints that are holding me back or like pain in my legs rather than actually endurance. And I don't want physical pain or like my legs to be holding me back when I can still push myself further to build up my endurance more. So I think swimming is a nice low stress way that I can build up endurance without like hurting my joints or anything or hurting my shins. So I'd like MOB to start doing practices like maybe in a week or 2 and start drilling shit, like start standardizing. That's what MOB definitely needs to focus on. Like we need to define moves, you know, like when we do shisha on the team, everyone does it differently because they're from different backgrounds. Like we should have, and it should be this way for every move. Like anytime we say, okay, now we do an 8 count of shisha, everyone should immediately know this is how MOB does shisha. Like this is how we all need to do it. We need to standardize that way. And I think we all need to just drill our fundamentals a bit more. Like it's a blessing and a curse that we have such strong ties to other dancers from other teams and can get so many guest dancers. Blessing in that they're fantastic dancers and it's a privilege to have them, but it's a curse in that as long as we keep taking guest dancers, we're not developing our own enough. So like we've got some other local guys that weren't quite at the level that they needed to be to make the Bruin roster or some of the other rosters, and like if they don't get to dance with us, like it's hard to keep them motivated, hard to make them feel like the time that they put in is rewarded, you know. And I feel like at some point the team has to kind of just deal with, you know, maybe having slightly less experienced dancers on stage or maybe going to fewer or less hype comps just to kind of train and build a team from the ground up rather than having to like outsource talent. And I hope that MOB can have like good turnout at tryouts, and I hope that we can really try and focus on some of these beginner dancers, you know, elevate them as dancers, build the team from the ground up. And hell, I could use some training too. Like my fundamentals could use a lot of work. So that should be MOB plans for the summer. So DDR plans, I think both DDR and MOB want to go to Berg. Both teams are flip-flopping with the idea of maybe doing 12 dancers as opposed to 16, which means that I'm going to have to work my ass off to try and make either of those rosters. I don't know if I'll make either, and if by some crazy miracle I make both, well, I'm not sure who I'd dance with at this point. It's just going to depend on which team has been hungrier, who's working harder, but I probably won't have to make that decision because the odds of me getting into both rosters and both teams getting into the comp, that's a pretty small chance. But that's what I'm working for. You know, as soon as I hang up this video, I'm going to the gym so I can swim. You know, day 1 of Berg training starts today. So anyways, I don't know if anyone's going to watch for this long because I ramble and my voice is starting to get hoarse, but you know, hopefully some of you stuck around and found it interesting. And, you know, if you have any feedback, like in terms of, like, if you have any questions about, like, anything that we went through this season, whether you're just getting into Bhangra or maybe you're really experienced in Bhangra and want to give me some feedback on like what I can do or what MOB can do to like improve as a team. I'd love to hear it. If you have any questions, like, like how did I get started into Bhangra? Like, what do I do to train? How do I prep? Hit me up. Slide into my DMs. I'm all about development and growth. And anything that I can use, like any knowledge that I can get from other people, other teams, I really appreciate. And anything that I can share, even though I'm still like learning and at beginner stages myself, anything that I can share, I would be happy to. So thank you guys for tuning in. And I hope this was interesting.